Have you ever stopped to wonder if everything you've been taught about kindness is wrong? From childhood, we are told, always help, always give, always say yes. To hesitate, to set a boundary, to put yourself first, this is selfish. This is unkind. This is wrong. Or so we're told. But what if the very idea that you must constantly rescue everyone is not love at all? What if it's interference disguised as compassion, an obstacle that keeps people from learning the lessons life desperately wants them to learn? Think about it. Every time you rescue someone from the consequences of their own choices, what are you really doing? You're not helping them. You're trapping them. You're standing between them and the wisdom that only comes through experience. I'm not saying we should become cold or indifferent, that's another extreme. The question is not whether to care. The question is how we care, and more importantly, who we invest our energy in. Because some people will drain you dry. They will take, and no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. And the tragedy is not that they take. The tragedy is that you are keeping them from growing. Here are 7 types of people you must learn to recognize, not to judge, but to protect your energy and allow them to face the experiences they need to awaken. 1. The chronically lazy. There is a world of difference between someone who is struggling and someone who has given up. The struggling person may stumble, falter, or face obstacles, but when they receive help, they use it as a stepping stone, a tool to rise higher. They absorb lessons, gain momentum, and build the strength to stand on their own. The chronically lazy, however, are different. They have, consciously or unconsciously, decided that life is too hard, that the effort required to improve is too great, and that someone else should carry their weight. Step in to help them, and you are no longer helping, you are enabling a dependence. You become their crutch, their hammock, their safety net. They don't grow, they stagnate, waiting for someone to bail them out. Look to nature for wisdom. A bird will not feed a chick that refuses to open its mouth. A tree will not nourish a branch that bears no fruit. Life has its own rules, growth requires effort. The chronically lazy must feel hunger. They must confront discomfort. They must face the consequences of their choices. Only then will they discover the satisfaction of their own accomplishment, the strength that comes from self-reliance, and the pride that accompanies genuine achievement. Every time you rescue them, you rob them of that essential growth. Every step you take to solve their problems for them is a step away from the life lesson they desperately need to learn. 2. The perpetually ungrateful. Some people receive extraordinary gifts and treat them as if they were meaningless. Time, energy, money, even love, they take without acknowledgement. Gratitude is not just a courtesy, it is a reflection of awareness, a recognition that nothing is owed, and that blessings are given freely. The ungrateful person does not see kindness. They see weakness. The more you give, the more entitled they feel. Your generosity becomes a tool for them to exploit, a bottomless pit into which nothing you pour can ever satisfy. Consider the story of someone who helps a friend consistently, paying bills, offering support, sacrificing comfort, and receives nothing in return. Eventually, the moment support ends, the same friend may react with anger or betrayal, as if they have been cheated. The ungrateful do not understand that life's gifts are meant to be valued, not taken for granted. Your help, no matter how well-intentioned, does not elevate them, it traps them in a cycle of entitlement. 3. The arrogant and self-righteous. Some people do not seek your help, they seek validation. They want you to confirm their worldview, their choices, their sense of superiority. Challenge them, and you threaten their identity. Pride masks a deep fear, the fear of being wrong, of being vulnerable, of losing control. You cannot force wisdom on someone who believes they already have it. Until they experience the humility that comes from failure, any effort you make to guide them is wasted. Their lessons must come from life itself. Your interventions, no matter how thoughtful, will not penetrate their armor of self-righteousness. History and philosophy are full of examples, even Jesus walked away from those unwilling to listen. Sometimes, the greatest act of compassion is recognizing when your wisdom cannot be received. The arrogant must fall, and only through that fall will they be ready to rise. 4. The habitually wicked. The wicked are deliberate in their harm. They lie, cheat, manipulate, and act without remorse. Unlike those who err out of ignorance, the wicked know exactly what they are doing, and they choose it repeatedly. Helping a wicked person does not inspire change, it provides tools for further destruction. Your resources, your time, and your energy become instruments for their schemes. By stepping in, you risk becoming complicit in the very harm you wish to prevent. True compassion does not mean enabling evil. Sometimes, it requires refusing to participate, even at the cost of being misunderstood. Protect yourself and recognize that the wicked have chosen their path, and it is not your duty to carry them off it. 5. The incurably foolish. Fools are not defined by a lack of intelligence but by a refusal to learn. They repeat the same mistakes, ignore advice, and resist growth. They are like someone repeatedly touching a hot stove, over and over, expecting different results. Your desire to rescue them only perpetuates the cycle. Intervention shields them from the consequences that might finally spark awareness. Only life, with its unyielding feedback, can teach the incurably foolish. Only failure, disappointment, and consequence can break through stubbornness. Your role is not to save them from themselves. Your role is to recognize patterns, to see when intervention will hinder rather than help, and to step back, allowing natural consequences to do their work. 6. The Master Manipulator. The Master Manipulator is subtle, almost invisible in their methods. They do not issue blunt demands, they work through allure, charm, and psychological precision. They know exactly how to pull on your heartstrings, how to trigger your empathy, and how to make you feel needed. You don't feel coerced, you feel compelled. You want to help. You want to sacrifice. You want to be their savior. Manipulators are shapeshifters. With one person, they are the tragic victim, suffering under circumstances beyond their control. With another, they are the shining hero, courageous and selfless. Their stories bend to their audience, crafted to elicit the exact response they desire. Generosity, kindness, attention, these become their tools. The moment you give, you fuel the very engine of their schemes, often without realizing it. The danger is not in their malice, it's in their sophistication. By the time you recognize what is happening, the manipulator has already extracted far more than you intended to give. And when you finally set boundaries or withdraw, they turn the narrative against you. Suddenly, you are the villain. Suddenly, you are the one being unreasonable, uncaring, or cruel. And just like that, they move on to the next target, leaving you drained and questioning your judgment. Recognizing a manipulator requires vigilance, emotional clarity, and unshakable boundaries. They test your limits slowly, subtly, and strategically. Your energy, your time, your mental peace, these are not infinite. Protect them fiercely. Do not mistake charm for need, or persuasion for honesty. You cannot save someone who is deliberately orchestrating their own exploitation. The moment you stop enabling, the manipulator loses power, and only then do you regain yours. 7. The Unrepentant Rebel. The unrepentant rebel is the hardest to release, because their potential is visible to you, even when it remains invisible to them. They know what is right. They have been guided, warned, and corrected. They have been shown the consequences of their actions, but they persist in destructive behavior anyway. Nothing you say, no advice you offer, no sacrifice you make, can change them. Transformation must come from within. External effort, however well-intentioned, cannot substitute for inner resolve. You cannot fight harder for their growth than they fight for themselves. To try is to exhaust your energy, deplete your patience, and leave yourself frustrated while they continue unchanged. The unrepentant rebel teaches one of life's hardest lessons: sometimes, loving someone means letting go. It is the ultimate test of discernment. You release them not because you hate them or give up on them, but because you recognize that true growth cannot be forced. True change only happens when desire and responsibility are internalized. You cannot push someone into awakening, they must reach for it themselves. The takeaway. So, what do we do after recognizing all these types of people, the lazy, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the wicked, the foolish, the manipulative, and the unrepentant rebel? Do we stop helping altogether? Absolutely not. Compassion is not the problem, it is unrestrained, indiscriminate giving that leads to exhaustion, resentment, and wasted energy. What we must cultivate is discernment. The ability to see clearly, to distinguish between those who are genuinely struggling and those who are entrenched in patterns of dependence, arrogance, or manipulation. Struggling individuals need guidance, support, and sometimes a helping hand. Those who are stuck need the lessons of life to hit them directly, sometimes painfully, so they can wake up and take responsibility. True compassion is not enabling. True compassion does not excuse repeated mistakes, shield others from natural consequences, or feed cycles of entitlement and dependence. Sometimes, the kindest, most loving act you can perform is to step back and allow life itself to teach the lesson. Your energy is precious. Your time is finite. Your resources, emotional, mental, financial, are limited. You cannot give endlessly without regard for your own health and balance. Protect yourself, because only by maintaining your own strength can you genuinely help those who are ready to grow. Giving blindly is not generosity, it is self-depletion. Ask yourself these hard, honest questions. Who am I helping that I should let go? Who am I rescuing that needs to face the consequences of their choices? Who am I enabling that is not prepared to change? Step back, not with anger, not with resentment, not with judgment, but with understanding. Recognize that sometimes the most loving act is allowing someone to experience the full weight of their own decisions. Pain, struggle, and failure are not punishments, they are life's teachers. You cannot save anyone from themselves. You can only point the way. Whether they choose to walk it, or stumble, or remain where they are, that is entirely up to them. Your role is guidance, not control. Your role is influence, not rescue. The moment you internalize this distinction, your compassion transforms. It becomes powerful, precise, and effective. It is no longer wasted on those who are not ready. Instead, it reaches the right people at the right time, creating genuine growth, resilience, and awakening. Imagine your energy as a flame. If you pour it into everyone indiscriminately, it flickers weakly, threatened by winds of entitlement, laziness, or manipulation. But when you direct that flame wisely, toward those willing to grow, it burns brighter, warmer, and stronger. You become a source of illumination rather than a candle burnt out in the wind. This is the essence of wisdom in giving, to know when to give, when to step back, and when to let life teach its lessons. To care with boundaries. To love without losing yourself.